What's up everyone, and thank you for stopping by the channel. Today's project is this Craftsman edger, and the problem is that it starts, but it doesn't run like it's supposed to. Let's take a good look at it, find out what's wrong with it, and hopefully we can fix it. In this video, we try and repair this edger. However, it may not be the exact repair you need to make to yours. We'll explore other options later in the video. So in the last video, we took a look at this old Craftsman edger, and overall it was in really good shape. However, after doing some diagnostic work, we found out that the engine was low on oil and was in desperate need of an oil change. The other problem was that the engine didn't take the lack of maintenance very well, because after doing a compression test, we got a very disappointing 60 psi. Now with a number that low, it usually means that this engine won't be able to start, but strangely enough it did. And after cleaning the carburetor, replacing the metering diaphragm, and a slight adjustment, it started and ran very well. However, the throttle wasn't working to adjust the engine speed, so that's what we're going to address today. If we take a closer look, when moving the throttle lever up, it's supposed to make contact with this arm, and that's supposed to work against this spring. The spring works against the governor arm, and then it will increase the engine speed, but as you can see, when the arm is in the upper position, the adjustment screw isn't making contact. Fortunately, it looks like we can just turn the screw in a bit till it makes contact with the arm. Now, we're only going to make small adjustments to the screw because we don't want to damage the engine by making the engine speed too high. I'm only going to adjust it so that the screw makes minor contact with the arm, and if that's too much, I'll adjust it while the engine is running. Now, in the previous video, while we were cleaning the carburetor, we noticed that somebody had turned the idle adjustment screw several turns in an effort to get it to run. And apparently that was the reason why this engine was idling so high. Now, if you turn the screw clockwise, it will increase the idle speed, and of course, that means if you turn it counterclockwise, then the idle speed will decrease. We're not going to try and set the idle speed now. We'll do that once the engine is started again. But before we do that, we want to drain the oil and replace it with some fresh oil before we forget. It's not the dirtiest oil I've ever seen, but it certainly wasn't helping the engine either. Now when adding oil to the engine, I'll add a little bit at a time till it's supposed to be at the right level. This is rather tedious, as it means I could do this process several times, but it keeps me from making a huge oily mess. I'll leave it up to you as how you want to add oil to your machine, but I've seen some people find out what the oil capacity is online and then just add it to the engine without ever checking if it's over or under level. If you do it this way, please at least check before you start the engine. So we adjusted the idle speed down to a much slower speed, and then after that we checked to make sure that the engine speed wasn't too high when we moved the throttle to the run position. If the engine speed was too high, then we would have turned the screw on the throttle counterclockwise till it slowed down to a working speed. Now I know I didn't use an RPM gauge to set the idle or running speed, but that's because most people don't have access to one, so I'm not going to use one either. I know it's more of an issue of experience when it comes to deciding how to set your engine speed, but what I would do is ask someone to help who has more experience when doing the adjustment. It never hurts to ask for help. Another reason why this engine would have no throttle control is that the throttle plate inside the carburetor might be stuck in an open position due to old varnished gas. The fix would be to spray carburetor cleaner at the pivot points and work the throttle plate free. So in the end, we had to replace the metering diaphragm, which was only $12, and an air filter, which was bought as a package of 6, which means this filter was only $2.50 for a grand total of $14.50, and the repair time was only 2 hours. So my question is, was it worth repairing this edger? The cost to replace an edger like this one would have been $250 after taxes, and personally, I think it was well worth it. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions, and I hope to see you in the next video.